About Racing Nation programme last week. A little bit apprehensive, a little bit nervous, but obviously everything went well on the day, and Sprinter Sacre did run after being off for about 13 months. Now, we are going to take a look at that form. We'll get the table up to demonstrate exactly the figures that the horses we think run to, or certainly Matt does. Matt, explain this to us.
OK, so we've, the same as last time, we've got different, obviously, we're over the Chase 2 mile. Dodging Bullets won the race. Official mark of 165. Now, I rated him for this performance 173. Sprinter Sacre 170 for this performance, with Twin Light in third, running to a mark of, I agree actually, with the official handicap, the 165. Summersby 158, and Grey Gold finally 149. This was a really interesting race, and of all the first two races I've talked about this evening, I'm pretty adamant about my ratings on there. This one's a little bit tricky for various reasons. Now, Dodging Bullets came into the race on the back of a win in the Tingle Creek, actually beating Summersby 2.5 lengths. Now, as you can see from the graphic that we've got there, this time Dodging Bullets is beating Summersby quite a bit further this time. In fact, he's beaten it 15 lengths. So, having watched Summersby's race round, I think it was different tactics completely, leading from the front. He also made a bad mistake. Twin Light's the interesting one, and that's the real horse that I've handicapped the race around, assuming that he's won to a mark of 165. Say Dodging Bullets, I've had improved from his win in the Tingle Creek from 171 to 173. Sprinter Sacre 170 I've got running to. So people, on his best form, I had Sprinter Sacre running to a mark of 189. So on his best form, this is, he comes back on his best form. This, for me, falls £19 short.
£19 short. You've got Dodging Bullets improving by 8. I think it needed every ounce of that distance, because it did look like it was struggling at one point, 3 from home. Sprinter Sacre. Now, obviously, let's focus on Sprinter Sacre first of all. We saw an official rating of 170. How much improvement has Sprinter Sacre got left for Cheltenham?
But what you've got, I mean, going into this race, I wasn't. I mean, you know, look at the odds it went off. It went 6 to 4 on. Yeah. Of that race, I couldn't Adam and Eve it really that he went off that price, because we had Nicky on the phone, and you know he's had a heart problem. He's had, you know, he's been off the track for over a year, and let's not forget he's ran back to a very high class mark of 170, but not what he had. What people,
I mean, people forget very quickly. He beat a horse that won last time out, Twin Light, and beat Summersby, who, according to your ratings, fell below expectations and did lead from the front. McCoy was very aggressive on Summersby, so
and made a mistake.
Yeah. So, sorry.
I mean, Twin Light's the interesting one, because I think I might have overcooked the form, because his run in Ireland against Simply Ned. Now, Simply Ned basically finished in a dead line with Dodging Bullets when they met each other at Cheltenham. So that was on the day on Saturday. That's why I was all over Twin Light, thinking, oh, this must be a good thing. So the fact that Dodging Bullets now beaten at 8 lengths has made me question whether I have overcooked Twin Light's form over at Punchestown, and perhaps Simply Ned will be better on better ground, and Twin Light just sort of outstayed him on what was really bad ground.
The inconsistency of Twin Light as well, and I think I pointed that out, that it won well, but before that time it pulled up.
I mean, Ruby Rolls was very interesting, making some comments when he said he was absolutely cruising with them 5 out, and all of a sudden he just couldn't go with them. And he looked like he was going to be nowhere near them, and he's actually made inroads to them, and he'd been beaten 8 lengths in the end. So he's entered for a champion chase.
Was that more Summersby tiring?
So I think so. I mean, Summersby, I couldn't use Summersby in this race as a horse to handicap the race around. I've just gone with the assumption that Twin Light has run what the official handicapper thinks of 165, because if Twin Light has run to my initial mark, which was well in the 170s, which I think I might be overcooked at because of the ground, well, if it does come back to the fact I was right the first time, all of a sudden Dodging Bullets has run to, into the 180s, and Sprinter Sacre, it's a great return. But I do want to make reference to Sprinter Sacre, and maybe a reason to forgive the horse and will find improvement is the better ground. When I went rooting through Sprinter Sacre's best form, for me was in the Queen Mother's Champion Chase on the 13th of March 2013, when beating size in Europe on what was good to soft ground, 19 lengths. Those two horses met each other again at Punchestown a month later, when Sprinter Sacre quite rightly was 1-9 for beating a horse 19 lengths. This time, under soft conditions, could only beat that horse 5.5 lengths.
Was that more to do with the fact that the horse had run at Cheltenham Aintree in Punchestown?
There is a possibility, but there is also the possibility that it could well be just down to ground and that the horse is a better ground on faster conditions. And when I went looking through the form of Sprinter Sacre's best form, it does appear to be on good or good to soft ground. So maybe we can just...
And Nicky Henderson was very, you know, truthful in as much that said, look, if there's heavy ground, we're not going to run it. And people were like, why aren't you going to run it? There must be something wrong. It took us all by surprise, really, that he declared it and ran it, because I think some people, you know, some people not in the racing world looked at that and thought, well, hold on a minute, he's now already making excuses.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. But he was saying simply, if the ground's heavy, and if it had been run at Newbury the following day, he wouldn't have run.
I mean, I guess from a form point of view, I mean, he's a horse I'm going to be taking on from now onwards, because I'm just a firm believer that once you've had, which is a serious setback, you know, it was a heart condition, a serious setback. It's like any athlete, whether you're a football player, you're a runner, a rugby player, if you've had a serious injury, it's very, very rare that you come back to your very best.
In your view, they meet next time at Cheltenham, who wins out the two?
Well, that's interesting. You know, could I see Sprinter Sacre for the run improving 3 lengths to beat Dodging Bullets? Yeah, I can. Can I see Sprinter Sacre improving the £19 to be back at his very best? No, I don't think it's going to happen. I do think he's a horse. I have no interest in him. I mean, from an anti-post point of view, if you're looking for a wager in that market, Dodging Bullets is the bigger price. Now, you know, you can get 5-1 about Dodging Bullets, Sprinter Sacre for 3s.
We're drifted from 2s to 3s.
Yeah.
We've got Sire de Grugy in the mix as well, which we no doubt will see soon. It'll be interesting that we can dissect that. In the Champion Chase picture, I mean, there were talk of Champagne Fever coming back into that, potentially.
I would like to see that.
Would you like to see that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's one horse, and also, you know, and I think I've got my wish with Alpha off.
Was beaten by Don Cossack. I was Champagne Fever. Even though it won a national hunt flat race over 2 miles, I don't think it stays. Well, it certainly didn't stay the King George, and the 2.5 miles looked like it was going to beat by Don Cossack. So I wouldn't be surprised if Woody decides to go for this, because there's a lot of question marks against a lot of the others.
If you look at his best form, it is over 2 miles. The same as Alpha off. I've had my way with Alpha off. I said before the King George, I hope they come back to, you know, to the champion chase.
Very quickly, the horse behind, and I know this for a fact, the horse, people mentioned Western Warhorse beating in front of Champagne Fever, but you know who's in fourth in that race?
Yeah, Dodging Bullets. You know, it's uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah.
How it goes. Now, just because you've mentioned it there, I've watched that race, Champagne Fever, against Don Cossack the other day, and for me, Don Cossack was just about to take it up.
Yeah.
I felt at the time. Now, what that done for me, knowing how much speed over 2.5 Sprinter Sacre got, from going from someone who thought that Don Cossack probably would want the Gold Cup, I'm not so sure now. And I remember speaking to you a couple of weeks ago and you said, I'm worried about him staying. I actually am now. I think the right route probably will be the Ryanair for him now. But, I mean, he did come down, admittedly, but his jump in Champagne Fever is just electric, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apart from
you can see him setting out in front in this race as well, because there's being the pace angle there.
Yeah.
And with so many question marks, we don't know Sire de Grugy is going to come back to the best. There'll be question marks to Sprinter Sacre, and Dodging Bullets, is that horse top class? Because based on last season, OK, the trainers had various things done to the horse and says it's improved. But we're still at some reservations whether it's improved that much.
Absolutely, and let's not forget Simply Ned as well. I keep on, you know, he finished right, you know, together really with Dodging Bullets, Simply Ned, and he came out and he was behind Twin Light. Now I backed him that day, and it was on heavy ground. He has this tendency of hang, but more times I've watched the race back, I'm absolutely convinced he wants better ground, Simply Ned. He's a huge, huge prize. I mean, on that run at Cheltenham, he shouldn't be, I think he's about 25-1 at the moment. He shouldn't be that, and that certainly is worth an investment on your post.
In terms of the race itself, we'll just take one more look at it in terms of Dodging Bullets. You've got it at 173, Sprinter Sacre 170. Of the two, is there much more improvement in dodging bullets?
Do you
think
he's definitely improved this horse. He's, you know, with the tongue tie, he had it on for the first time in the Tingle Creek, and he had it on again on Saturday. And he does seem to, from my ratings, he has seemed to improve a further 2 lengths. How much more improvement? You would imagine there'd be more improvement to come from out of the two, from Sprinter Sacre, than dodging bullet, especially back on better ground.
So you're saying that it's the 190 is unachievable. Where could we think it could get to?
That's very difficult. You know, we need to watch the race to get it down.
Okay,
down to figures.
We got one more graphic to put up, and maybe Matt can explain this.
Yeah, okay. As I say, this tonight that you've watched, this is a pilot, and I say we will be going out every week between 6 and 6:45, and we just want everyone to be part of the show. So you might have many questions, racing topics you'd like to discuss, and you can do by just Twitter me at ValueRater, or send me an email, value.rater@outlook.com. We'll just keep that graphic up there for a little bit longer, but by all means, I will try my best, even if we don't cover it on the show, to get back to you. And
I was going to say, what ideally we're looking for, look, after the big racing on Saturday or even a Sunday, get an email into Matt, ask him what he values the rating at, what you might value the rating at, and we'll have a little bit of a debate about it. So if you're at home thinking, well, Matt's talking rubbish, email and say, look, you've handicapped that wrong, or your mark is wrong based on this, and then we can dissect that and make our own.
That'll be my inbox full now.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, fabulous. OK, well, as I said, we apologise for the teething problems with the phone call, because that was totally out of our control. Aidan Coleman, unfortunately, living in the country, the phone went, and some important questions were being asked, and we couldn't get the answer. But look, we'll no doubt get him on again. Matt, thank you very much indeed. It's been fascinating. 3 races covered today. We will cover more races next Tuesday, and also Bet Racing Nation will be back next week as well from 8 o'clock. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.